Hey guys, this is Ryan with Freespirit Recreation. Today we're gonna walk you through Hub 4 Double. So we're gonna walk you through the setup process, some of the features of this tent. We're gonna just basically give you everything that you need to know about Hub 4 Double today. Let's dive right in. Now this is one of our newest tents in terms of footprint. This is a new footprint for us. So today we'll talk through this tent, some of the features, show you the setup, walk you through some use cases, things like that. Hopefully answer any questions that you might have about this tent. All right, so the first thing we'll do is we'll get our tent all opened up, get all the pieces out, and show you guys how to start setting up your tent. First thing we'll grab out of here, most likely have your Rainfly, which we'll just set over on the side for now. Second will be our floor. You notice this one might be a little dirty. Just actually brought this out and camped in it last night, so we like to use our stuff here at Freespirit. And then you'll find some straps, bag full of stakes to stake your tent down. Again, we'll just set all this off to the side. Which finally brings us to our tent. So how I like to do this is grab your end that has all of the poles coming to a meeting point. Essentially makes it the easiest to be able to get out and deploy your tent. All right, so once you get your hub tent out of the bag, notice that you have your light strip here, which will be rolled up in your Rainfly, and the remainder of your stakes to be able to stake down your tent. So we'll set this stuff off to the side again, because we will use it here in a bit. So we'll just grab this out. We will grab our bag, set it off to the side. And basically, because the Hub 4 Double is 2 7-foot footprints, we're going to want to find a general middle point to where you're setting up, and then just start pulling your poles back and setting up your walls. So we've got our hub tent laid out. What you're gonna look for is where all these tent stakes, tent poles I should say, where they meet together, they're in these small sections. And basically this is your footprint. So once you start deploying your tent, you'll notice that each of these sections will separate and you'll be able to set up your walls all separately. So we'll just start pulling out a couple of these at a time. Once you find your pull tab here, go ahead and give that a pull. So I can tell that this is the bottom of the tent. This is our skirt for the floor. And I see my wall is rolled up here. And again, we just want to start pulling out all these pull tabs as we find them. And lastly, what I like to do is just step inside, pop up both roofs, and our final wall on this side here. You'll notice some of our walls here weren't completely rolled up, which is okay. The way that this will come when it shows up at your house is all these walls will be rolled down. And so I'll show you an example of how to work with this with the walls rolled down in terms of setting this up. So you'll most likely receive it with either, there's a zipper and there's also Velcro. And most likely the bottom of this will be completely Velcroed all the way across the bottom. So this will be your setup. And what you'll be doing is when this is collapsed, you see how that strap fell through? You'll just have to fish through, find that strap. There you go, pull it out. Now this is a great point because this is what I like to have as an easy option when I'm opening my hub. This hub's all about speed. All of our hubs are all about speed. And so the more that this is exposed, the faster, the quicker I can get it set up. Let's talk about our tri-layer roll-up walls. So these are really meant to be used for a number of reasons. So one of them is obviously protection from the elements. These are insulated walls, and so you've got your 2 layers of ripstop on either side, sandwiched in between is a layer of poly cotton. So if you are camping in the winter, or if you're a hunter and it's in the winter, this is a great, great setup to be able to have that insulation factor, protection from the outside elements. So these walls are roll up, like I'd mentioned. They are sewn in and attached at the top. So we'll have a zipper on either side. So there's one on each side for each wall. And then it also will Velcro as a second layer of protection, just in case some water decides to seep in a certain way or whatever, it'll deflect all that water. Or snow, depending on what time of year it is. Where this pull tab is, you might have to push it on the wall just a little bit and pull that through. That wall's completely rolled down, ready for you to camp at night, or if you are, for some reason, in the middle of the day and it's January and you just want to get out of the elements, run your heater inside of here, you can do that. The reason we allow for the roll-up piece is maybe it's not the winter, or maybe it's not raining, and you are, say you're on the beach, and you want to be using this as more of a screen house, or just a shade tent to be able to get out of the elements. Same process again, push that through, and then we'll roll these up. And at the top of each of our doors here, we will have a tab with a loop. You can pull it through like so, secure. This is personally how I like to use my hub. I use it as more of a base camp whenever I'm camping, so I can set up my stove in here, some chairs, I can set up a floor, which we'll get into in a minute. Really just have a footprint to be able to get out of the sun and just enjoy, sit back and relax. So let's talk about installing the floor, which will span the entire footprint of the bottom of the tent. The reason we include this is if it is raining, or if you just want to get out of the dirt, this will separate you from those elements. So before we step inside of the tent, we're going to do two things. We're going to install our floor and we're going to install our tent poles. So our newest iteration of this tent has a integrated door in the front versus just zip up walls. So we need some structure. We need to create that structure. So I'll show you how to do that right now. This bag has 3 tent poles, and each of these poles is just like your standard tent pole. You'll break them apart like so. And then we have 3 areas on the inside here. You'll notice these little red pull tabs that we will connect our poles to. There's 1 on each corner, and then 1 in the middle. And that is your structure. I'll show you guys how to install the floor. This is pretty straightforward. This comes with Velcro all the way around. And so what you want to do here, because your footprint is more of a rectangle than a square, we'll just find our 2 closest points for our corners. There we go. And your Velcro only goes one way here, so it's pretty obvious of how it's folded. So it's pretty difficult to mess that up here. So you'll notice we have Velcro all the way up about 5-6 inches off the floor. And again, that's just to protect you from any water if it does decide to rain. So in each of these corners, you'll notice a loop, a little plastic loop, and you'll be able to feed this peg through there just to keep everything secure in the event that it's either windy for whatever reason and wind gets under your tent depending on your situation, or if it's raining. Just again, security is always a great aspect to have if you are experiencing rain or wind. So we'll just work our way around here, just getting our Velcro stuck. Now in each corner here, you'll notice the Velcro corners are separate. And what I mean by that is they overlap each other to where you can patch those together. And once you do, you're able to basically adapt this corner to however your situation is. If you're on an uneven piece of ground, for instance, and it's not completely flat, you might need to separate those corners, maybe loop through one of the poles here to be able to secure that corner. But there's extra slack in the floor, so that really won't be an issue. All right, in our last corner here, we'll get this loop through, and our Velcro stuck. So the last part of sticking this is your front door underneath. You'll want to make sure you push out your corners all the way so that it's tight, and then stick your Velcro. And the reason for that, again, is we've created a structure with these tent poles. Although, unlike the sides where we have these pop-outs that creates outward pressure in every direction, we have to recreate that just by pushing out each corner to be able to stick our Velcro there and make it a square application. So now we'll talk about our tie-down points and where we stake down the tent. So we're gonna have 1 on each corner. We'll have 4 total there. And then we'll have 1 on each side in the middle. And so if you come over here and look at each corner, you'll see that there is a thicker piece of nylon here with a metal loop to where you can put your stakes through. Simultaneously in the center here, you'll have that other loop I was talking about in the middle of the tent. And you'll want to make sure to stake that guy down, because if you do have any wind or if it's raining, either of those situations, you want to make sure that you've got that secured. All right, guys, so let's talk about the Rainfly on this tent. A lot of people are asked, why do I need a Rainfly? Is this tent not waterproof? Can I run it without my Rainfly in this situation or that situation? Short answer is yes, you can run the tent without the Rainfly. Now, to the degree in which that weather is coming at you, if you've got a ton of weather and you've got rain, snow, sleet, ice, I don't know what the situation is, but if you've got a lot of things coming at you, I would definitely put your Rainfly on. Now, the default answer is always gonna be, yeah, run the Rainfly, but if it's just gonna be a light rainstorm blowing through and you forgot to put your Rainfly up there, it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna get water in your tent. Now, if you forgot to put your Rainfly on and it rains all night and you wake up the next morning, you might have some rain that might come in through, say, the stove jack area because that is Velcroed around, or maybe another corner around the sides because water was splashing up and you didn't have your walls rolled down. There's a number of things that can happen there. But let's walk through how to install the Rainfly and what it looks like for you. I've got my Rainfly situated here. What you'll notice is there is a front and a back on this thing. So the back of the Rainfly, what I mean by back is adjacent from the door on the opposite end. So the back of the Rainfly will have stove jack cover and where that can be zipped and unzipped. Secondarily, on the opposite end of said Rainfly, you'll notice there's a zipper on this end and it's on each corner. Just like so, you've got two zippers, and this is to allow you to get into your tent easily without crouching down if it is raining and you do have the Rainfly deployed. Another thing to look for here is we did include a little tag on the inside of the door that actually says door. So that's helpful. If you can't figure it out from those three things, we've got bigger issues. Now that we've got our Rainfly thrown on top here, we'll grab our stakes. And so these stakes have two different versions in here. And again, you can use either one in either application, whether you need one of the stakes for staking down the tent itself or the Rainfly. Really depends on your terrain. We do include, there's 3 on each side and then 1 in the back. These straps here with a loop through so that you can feed one of these guys through to be able to come out. And generally, I just like to see this kind of taught like so. Doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong way of doing it. If you think about it though, if you do have rain, you're pulling that rain away from the tent and not allowing it to bounce back towards the inside of the tent. I say that because we do have these roll-up windows, which are really nice. So if you wanted to leave those open to allow for ventilation during a rainstorm, you can do so. So it's just really up to you, it's your preference. And then the other stake I was talking about here is, this has got a threaded bottom here if you really need to get into some either thicker ground or whatever your situation is. We do provide those as well. And then we've got some guide rope here. Lastly, on this Rainfly, on the front of the Rainfly, we have 2 zippers, 1 on each corner. And what this does is it allows for you to be able to pass through your door without having a Rainfly in your face, basically. So if you don't want to crouch down or have any kind of hindrance walking into your tent, then you can zip these up and have that part of the Rainfly out of your way. Last piece I'll touch on with the Rainfly for the Hub 4 double. So we did this half Rainfly for a reason. So if you need ventilation and you want to have your doors, or your windows rather, if you want to have them rolled up to allow air to come in while it's raining, as you know, whether it's a summer rainstorm, which most likely will be, it's going to be warm outside, and so you want to eliminate any potential for condensation. So we did this half Rainfly to be able to provide that. Again, if this is staked out like so, you're not going to have any issue with water hitting the ground and getting in. So we provide the half Rainfly just to be able to give you that flexibility, as much ventilation as you could possibly have. Now, obviously, if you had your windows here rolled down, this would kind of be irrelevant. You'd still want the Rainfly obviously on if it was raining heavy, but you still, again, won't have any kind of potential for rain coming down, splashing back in. So last thing I'll say about this Rainfly in general is, if it's ever a question, put the Rainfly on. People always are asking, like, should I put it on or should I not? The default answer is gonna be yes, put it on if there's any potential of rain, just to give you that extra peace of mind, to really give you a fully usable structure and not have any potential for water getting inside. All right, guys, before we go on the inside of the tent and show you some of the inside features, I'm gonna talk about the door here a little bit. So the integrated door is really here to serve you in a number of ways. One is you can roll it up and out of the way whenever you're not using it. And we have these tabs here to be able to secure it on the top and then one on the bottom. And then secondarily, you'll notice we didn't create any kind of harsh structure on the bottom of the tent, at the bottom of the door. And the reason being is if you need to roll something in here, you can still do so. Or if you do want to create some tension here on either corner, you can at least eliminate the potential for dirt or any water splashing on the inside of your door. So we'll go on the inside, we'll walk through some of the features, and we'll get started there. Now that we're on the inside of the Hub 4 Double, you'll notice we've got our light with us. And this light is, again, rolled up inside of your Rainfly. So at this point, hopefully you've got it in hand. So what we'll do is, we've got a piece of Velcro in the back here, and we'll just go ahead and put this light on that piece of Velcro. Now we have two locations in this tent where you can attach this light, one in the rear and one at the front by the door. If you do want, you can purchase a second light on our website to be able to have two lights inside of the tent if you need it. And then down here, this is our dimmable light switch. We got our USB plug-in, any kind of battery pack or anything else like that will work just fine with this. Then just above the light here, you'll notice this patch. And this patch is our stove jack. So if you do need to use this for your heater or for your stove and you're cooking food in here, this is perfect for just that. We did provide a little attachment here to be able to roll this material up and out of the way. And yes, this gasket right here is acceptable for all the heat that a stove jack will put off, and so that's no concern. On the outside of the tent, if you have your Rainfly up there, you'll just have to peel that piece of Velcro off to be able to access the outside and have your pipe sticking through. Next thing we'll talk about on the inside of our Hub 4 Double is our storage nets. So you'll notice this material just kind of hanging down here with 3 hooks on the ends. And notice above your head here, there'll be some loops to attach these hooks to. And what these storage nets are great for is any kind of clothing you want to keep up here. I would avoid putting anything sharp up here, obviously, to avoid puncturing your tent, but any kind of utensils, maybe you got, spatula or something you're cooking with, you're done with it for the night, you wrapped it up, you just want to throw it up and out of the way. This is really designed to just keep things off of the floor. Now, if you do have a table set up in here, obviously you can use that for such. But again, we just like to add as much flexibility as we can to these tents so that you can use them, you can figure out your own use case for them. It can really be customized to how you use this tent. So we've got one here in the back on this side, and then again, we've got another one on the front of the tent on the opposite wall. Depending on how you're using this tent, moving around it, you really have the options to be able to store stuff up off the ground, above your head, to really open up the rest of the tent. And then on the back corner of our tent here, or I should say back corners, both corners here, we've got this hook. And this hook is basically designed to be able to hold a lantern, or if you want to set up some string lights around your tent. This is just a really great attachment point to be able to hang anything that needs to be off the ground. All right, and so we've got another feature here at the front of the tent, and this is our waterproof bag. Put your phone in here, your watch, your wallet, your keys. It could be used for a number of things. That's either avoiding any water getting on it for whatever reason, or if you want to keep it out of the dust elements, things like that. Storing it in here, storing your valuables so you know where they are. This is a great place for that. The last feature here on the inside of our Hub 4 Double, so we have a window that we integrated on the front of the tent. And this is basically just here for, if you do have all of your walls rolled down, it does get pretty dark in here. So if you want a completely weatherproof area to be able to look out and have some light coming in, we did include one of these for your convenience. There's just 2 Velcro pieces at the top that just Velcros it up out of the way if you're sleeping at night, or if you want to completely black this thing out, you can do so. And just as easy as releasing those to be able to see out of the tent. All right, guys, well, that just about wraps it up for Hub 4 Double. We'll walk you through how to tear this thing down, some of the steps involved. As you probably guessed, it's basically the reverse of what you did setting it up. And so we do get questions about the floor being attached whenever we pack this thing back up. The hub 4 double is not one you want to leave the floor in. You'll definitely have a lot of complications getting it folded back together. So make sure to pull the floor out. It's just nice to have it separate, wipe it down, get it clean. Keeping these things clean, maintaining them, if you do that, it will last you. If you don't, you might run into issues with water being stored in there, dirt, and all that stuff's gonna deteriorate material over time. So make sure to take this stuff apart, clean it whenever you get home, make sure it's aired out, dry, and ready for your next trip. So after we've got our floor out, the next thing that we'll wanna do is remove our structure from the front of the tent. So we'll pull these poles out, make sure they're out of our way. All right, now that we've got our poles out of the way, we're ready to start popping our walls down. So what I like to do is come on the inside of the tent first. I'll pull my roof down first, and then I'll close my door behind me. So 1 and 2. Once you do the second one, you'll notice a lot of structure will fall out. And then if you can, zip your door at least 50 to 75% of the way. This is to avoid any of the other material or any of the tent legs getting stuck in this hole, just to help with setting up next time. All right, so we've got our roof on both ends collapsed. I'll pop in the back of it. The whole thing will kind of fold in on itself. And then I'll just pop these 2 walls in here. And then we'll finish up with these last 2 walls. Just push them in like so. And then we'll just fold this together. All your legs basically meet at the middle. And that's it, you're collapsed. All right, so once we're collapsed here, we provide a strap to be able to basically keep all this material together, so that's easier to put into your bag, and then simultaneously when you go next time to be able to take back out of the bag. So we'll just bear hug this here, like so, and there that is together. And I'll touch on the bag here in a little bit whenever we have everything in here. But this bag really is the smallest bag that we have lengthwise, which is really helpful in certain situations. I'll talk about those here in just a minute. All right, so now that we've got our hub in our bag here, what we'll do is we'll focus on the end where all of our poles are. This is less material on this end, so we'll put our Rainfly, our floor, and all of our stakes on this end of the tent. So now that we've got our floor and our Rainfly in here, we're gonna grab the remainder of our stakes and our tent poles and make sure that they make it in our bag as well. Wrapping up hub 4 double. So one of the really great benefits of this tent is not only the larger footprint with a 6 foot by 12 foot footprint, but also the size of the bag. So this bag is 54 inches long, which essentially will fit in any sedan trunk or in the back seat of any car. Of course, it'll fit in a pickup truck bed or on the roof of a car. But if keeping your bag inside of your car is paramount and you need to do that, this is probably your best option. Now, again, I mentioned this tent is 6 foot by 12 foot long. This tent's technically bigger than your Hub 4 XL, which is an 8 foot by 8 foot square footprint. This tent is really great if you want to say you want to set up a bed at one end of the tent and then have another livable space on the other end. This is a perfect use case for that. This is a good use case if you wanted to bring this tent out to the park, to a soccer game. Of course, if you are more into the recreation side and you want to go hunting or fishing, you're a rock climber, any of those things, this is a great hub for you. So check it out if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next one.